Welcome back, everybody, to another shocking prison reality check episode of Lockdown 23 and 1. That's right, prison reality check, it definitely is. Today's story's probably on the top 3 wildest things I've ever heard take place in prison. Turns out an inmate got taken advantage of by a group of other inmates. Not to mention how and where it went down. I mean, this might be the first time in history, prison history, that anything like this has been done. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. If you're new to the channel and enjoy all things lockup and crime related, then this is absolutely where you need to be. Hit that beautiful like, subscribe, notification bell before you leave, and check out my exotically assorted playlist for you to start binge watching today. Alright, before I get into the first wild story, I forgot to mention I actually got 2 stories coming your way today. The second one's not as wild, but still, I've never seen anything like this in the justice system, so be ready for another shocker after this one. But traveling down south, unfortunately, to Louisiana. 2 inmates at the East Baton Rouge Parish Prison, that's kind of a tongue twister there, face additional charges after being accused of sexually assaulting another inmate. But according to an affidavit, James Merritt, 22, and Latrell Baker, 20, both of Baton Rouge, were charged with first-degree rape and second-degree battery. And no disrespect intended, man. These guys look like they're a cool 40. The affidavit states that on June 19th, detectives were called to a local hospital about a sex crime at the parish prison. Upon arrival, detectives saw a 37-year-old victim experiencing severe pain. Keep in mind, the victim that they sexually assaulted is over 10 years older than them. If you ever think people are going to spare you because of your age in prison, man, think again. But the victim told detectives that while housed in the parish prison, multiple inmates allegedly removed him from his bunk. They drug him into the day room and then repeatedly struck and kicked him while other inmates held him down. During the attack, the victim said he was sexually assaulted. Now, this is what I just don't understand about this story, all right? The day room. You got a day room, this is where everyone congregates, cooks their meal, watches, the community TV, plays chess, spades, all that good stuff. And it's usually surrounded by cells. And on the other side, I believe they call this a 180 design, but on the other side, they have the correctional booth that's watching typically everything. And some of these booths, man, I've seen these COs will show you their cameras can zoom in to the tip of a pinhead. I'm not playing, man. Some places, though, they ain't got no cameras. And being in Louisiana, Baton Rouge, man, who knows what kind of dilapidated 80s Radio Shack cameras they might be using. I'm just playing. It's probably some good cameras. Either way, why would they drag him from his bunk in his cell where there's no cameras, no one can see it, into the day room where everyone can see it, and then sexually assaulted him? It's like a crash dummy mission, almost as though they didn't care about getting caught. They just wanted to disrespect him in front of everyone. And the more I read on this story, it locked in, my hypothesis. It says, according to the affidavit, the victim sustained multiple injuries, including a perforated colon, fractured ribs, a collapsed lung, lacerations, and contusions. Medical findings were consistent with the victim's statement. Perforated, I believe, like ripped. Colon? Are you kidding me? That's absolutely terrifying verbiage. But let me continue reading. Like I said, it backs up my theory of they just wanting to humiliate this guy in front of everyone. I don't know why. If I were to guess, he must have done something real bad to them. Either way, I'm sure more details will come out about this situation here soon. I'll keep it posted, but it says on July 14th, the victim was shown a photographic lineup and positively identified Baker and Merritt as participants in an alleged sexual attack. Now, this is wild. It says, during the investigation, detectives tried to interview Merritt about the allegations, but they were unable to as he had been released from prison. After the positive identification, an arrest warrant was issued for Merritt once again. Picture that. He was a short timer, man, about to go home, and still decided to participate in a sexual assault before he did. In the day room for everyone to see. Make that make sense. Like I said, the victim had to have done something severely bad to these guys, or possibly maybe even an organization. Prison gangs, whatever you want to call it, if I were to guess. But this article didn't give too much intel. It wasn't until I did some more digging that I found out how they sexually assaulted him, man. Like I said, it's different. In this article, it says that the victim reported that a group of inmates pulled him out of his bed. They dragged him into the dormitory day room, where they beat, kicked, and physically restrained him. While the victim was held down, he was sodomized with a wooden broomstick. Yeah, if I were to guess, this dude did something extremely bad and they were making an example out of him. Maybe it was his crimes and they didn't put him in the right PC block or something. I don't know. Because the victim's unnamed, all we know is his age. So for a group of guys to do all this stuff to this man, especially in the day room, none of them cared what was going to happen to him, and they probably all felt as though it needed to be done. It says Latrell Baker's role, accused of being the person who directly penetrated the victim with the broom handle. He's held on a $600,000 bond. And James Merritt, keep in mind, he went home from prison. Gotta knock on that door and say, hey bro, you're gonna have to come right on back. But Merritt was accused of holding down the victim during the assault. And shockingly, he's got an $800,000 bond, which is $200,000 more than the person that's accused of actually doing the broom handle situation on the victim. Merritt must be like the leader or have a longer criminal record or something for him to get a higher bond, if I were to guess. But it says in Louisiana, conviction of first-degree rape carries a mandatory life sentence without the possibility of parole. James Merritt was incarcerated in 2025 for vehicle theft and simple kidnapping. Latrell Baker, detained since February 15, 2024, for an armed robbery and shooting that left one person paralyzed and another injured. He also picked up a charge for inciting a riot in 2025 while behind bars. Inciting a riot, man, yup. So Latrell Baker, if I were to guess, he might have a little pool in the cell block as well. But that's a bulk of it, ladies and gentlemen. The inmate got in the middle of the day room in front of everyone, beat half to death and taken advantage of with the broomstick. These are the true campfire nightmare stories you tell your children about prison, to make sure they stay on that straight and narrow. I'm telling you kids, you better listen to your parents. If not, you better listen to me. Prison ain't getting no nicer, it's just getting worse. Stay free, my friends. But rolling into the next article, this one's absolutely crazy as well. It's titled, John Gotti's grandson must go to prison if he fails to donate kidney to mom by Monday. Well, I read this article, I said, what in tarnations? You know, I kind of follow this guy because I watched a show growing up. Shoot, what was the name of that show? Grown Up Gotti or something like that? I can't remember. You know, the reality show they had. But either way, it says, a Brooklyn judge has made John Gotti's grandson an offer he can't refuse. Either give his kidney to his ailing mother by Monday, or head to prison to start his long-delayed COVID fraud sentence, according to court records. Convicted COVID fund scammer Carmine Agnello, 39, hopefully I pronounced that right, man, was set to start his 15-month stint behind bars on June 20th. But he got a 2-month reprieve so he could undergo the organ transplant procedure for his mom, Victoria Gotti, on August 3rd. That surgery date fell through because his mother had a severe infection and was on a battery of antibiotics, Agnello told the court Tuesday. The infamous former Gambino crime family boss's grandkid then requested that his surrender date be moved from August 10th to September 18th, saying that the organ transplant would instead take place on that day. Now he doesn't have a choice. The judge delivered the ultimatum in court Thursday. If the surgery occurs on or before Monday, Agnello can enjoy one more month of freedom until September 18th rolls around. If not, the former reality TV star must turn himself in by 2 p.m. Monday, according to the case's docket. Prosecutors with the Brooklyn U.S. Attorney's Office have repeatedly argued that the situation does not warrant any leniency from the court and have noted that Agnello could give up the kidney while behind bars. Oh man, they're doing him dirty, right? Man, that's the last thing I want to do is give up a kidney and then get shuttled to prison. Man, you can only imagine the health care you're going to get in there. Well, it might be kind of good depending on what state you're in. Better than if you're on the streets with no insurance, if I were to guess. At least it works like that with dental. But it continues saying that the admitted fraudster had pled guilty to skimming economic injury disaster loans from the Small Business Administration. Sad days we're living in, right? Filled with scammers and spammers. I'm dealing with one right now, a damn mechanic. I ain't even about to go down that rabbit hole with y'all right now, but that's a wrap for the news today, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you enjoyed. Like I said, if you're new to the channel, as always, hit that like, subscribe, notification bell before you leave, and stay tuned. I got plenty more content coming your way. I got so many courtroom sentencings, I don't know which one to pick from. Valuable learning lessons that come from them too, man. These cases, this type of situations that a lot of people can see themselves in if they got caught. Till the next time though, as always, ladies and gentlemen, y'all be easy, be safe, and more importantly than anything, stay frosty and free.